How's it going, guys? My name is Doe. I got the full bedhead effect kicking in, and I want to give my raw, uncut feelings of Trials right now. And I also want to give some thoughts from a very smart person named Mirnon, who is he's just crazy. He's too dang smart for his own good. But to give my thoughts first, because they're just better in every single way. No, but to go over what I think of Trials first, I want to say that to give you some background knowledge, I was a tester for the game mode, and I've played it ever since I first tested it. I was a tester along with Mirnon, I believe, and ever since I first played it, it just hasn't been enjoyable past the first day. It's just only gotten worse, and I think that's because the mode hasn't really improved that much since it first came out. The one thing that has improved is the times have gotten faster, which I'm not sure if that's a good thing, but that's something to make note of. Like the kill times in Trials have gotten faster, and the loading times have gotten a little bit faster. Before they were like sometimes a minute long to load into a trial mode that right now can be completed in probably 30 seconds solo. So, a little crazy. But in any case, Trials is a mode that at first it promised sort of a competitive aspect to it. And that's great. I think that belongs in games. There needs to be a way for players to compete against other players, just to have some way to experience a game differently. And Trials was a different mode. It promised that. It was like, okay, if you don't like doing regular hunts, just farming for like who knows what, because at first we didn't really have escalation, then you can do Trials. You can do this other thing. You can just compete. You can try and show your mastery of a behemoth once a week. And in the very first day, that seemed great. Like during testing, and like I think during testing on the first day, it was like, okay, that seems awesome. The trials were difficult. It was Shotgun to Zyga for the very first week of trials. It was challenging. It didn't even seem challenging. It was challenging. And at the time, there was no Aether Strikers. So the hardest part was trying to get a sub 3. There was only, I think, a handful of players to get a sub 3, and even less than that did it correctly, or did it without getting bugs. Because bugs are something that have affected Trials, I think, more weeks than not. Probably 70% of the weeks in Trials have been affected by some bug. Whether it's AI, whether it's just the coding where you get baby behemoths, which haven't been very prevalent recently, but used to get things where you got a weaker version of the trial behemoth than intended. So trial behemoths should be like threat level 21 at the time, and you were getting things that were like threat level 10, which just means it's weaker, like a lot weaker, and that was giving certain players faster kill times. But in any case, Trials used to be this difficult mode to complete, but even though it was difficult, it's always been plagued by the same problem that seems to only have gotten a little bit worse, and that is RNG. So, the randomness of the mode seems to have only picked up in its pace for just heading towards disaster, and that's very obvious by the current trial, which is Boreas. You have weak spots, which are awesome. I love weak spots, but they can spawn on, I think, 4 different parts. The legs, either leg, the tail, and the head. If you're playing a certain weapon and it spawns on the head, your run is going to be slower than other people because hitting that mark consistently is very freaking difficult. That's a problem. You also have things where Boreas goes into its immune state. It ices up. You can prevent this icing up if you knock bombs into Boreas, which stun it and it delay it. Also, breaking parts or triggering weak spots can delay it as well. If you don't get bombs, you can't do that. And Boreas randomly can spawn a lot of bombers. It can spawn spitters, bombers, and flyers, or it can spawn only flyers and spitters. That's the RNG aspect as well. And going past all that, you have baseline cells that give you crit chance. Crit chance is a chance to crit. That can definitely affect a run. It can be the difference between getting beating someone by like a second or 2 seconds with certain weapons. Like if you throw your axe, if axe didn't suck, you could throw your axe. If your Grim Onslaught crits, that could be the game changer of beating someone else, getting number 1. If axe wasn't good, but in any case, any weapon like doing a big attack and having that crit is a game changer. It definitely can be. And on chain blades, you have serrated blades. That's doing your light attacks or whatever. It gives you a chance to make your swinging blades crit. That's RNG. RNG does not make for a great competitive landscape, and Trials is riddled with it. The modifiers are very RNG. You have certain weeks that have 7 different pylons that fire every 10 seconds. That's not the RNG part. The RNG part is, does a behemoth do an attack that makes those pylons that are firing at you line up in a way that just destroys you, makes it so you can't react, makes it so you just can't play the game. You can't dodge very quickly. You can't dodge too many things at once. You just can't. If you dodge something, you don't have... sometimes if you dodge an attack, you will just get hit because you don't have enough time to dodge again, or you don't have stamina. So it's just RNG. And even if it's not the modifiers or it's not the behemoth design, it's bugs. Like the baby behemoths, just all these things. The AI maybe bugs out. The behemoths just do nothing for multiple, like 20 seconds at a time. They just don't react. And I think that I can understand. Like, the game will never be perfect, I don't think, and that's fine. It doesn't have to be. It just has to be good enough. And Trials, it's not good enough. It isn't a mode that really delivers what I was hoping for, and that's just an enjoyable experience that, if you're skillful, you can be consistent in. Right now, if you're skillful, you can't be consistent. Like, not to the point that it's reasonable at all. Like, it's about who has the right now. Trials, getting a good time, a respectable time. Who has the most patience and the most time and a decent amount of skill? Those people will do the best in Trials. That's just it. That's just how it goes. And I don't think that's very enjoyable. And this is coming from someone who, I was number 1. Weird flex, I know, but I was number 1 during Scar Trials, and I was also number 3. And to explain that real quick, some people were talking trash. I had an alt account that I did a playthrough with, and I was like, oh, you're going to talk smack? Okay. So I got number 3 on that account, wearing, I think, plus 10 gear. This was during Scar Trials, whenever 8 Strikers either first came out or the second week. So that was to prove a point. And yeah, but ever since then, I realized the time it took to get that time, because that was like very competitive. Scar Trials were honestly probably the most competitive time that I can think of for me. But ever since then, I realized that it's just not worth it. Like, the time investment doesn't really matter. And like, plus getting number 1, you had like some people go, oh, do good time. That's it. Like, it's just like no one really cares about Trials as well. And that's another problem. The reward for Trials is honestly garbage. It really is. Like the best reward is doing normal Trials. You get actual power, which is, I don't think you should get power from doing Dauntless Trials. That's not what I'm trying to say. But you don't even get cool cosmetics from doing Dauntless Trials. The gold crown, that's kind of nice, I guess, but that's just top 100. There's no reward for getting top 5, and there's no reward for doing Trials and getting top 100 consistently. There's nothing for that. There's no reason to do it. And that is not a good way to do Trials. There should be a reason to do Trials, more so than just getting the marks, which I've gotten the marks every single week. I've done every single trial. And there's just nothing really for me to do these Trials anymore. And the Trials are getting to the point where they're consistently below like a minute time, like 2 minutes. Players can use Aether Strikers, which is currently the best weapon in the game, and use Iceborne and still do better than other weapons that are playing a flawless build that's low life as well. And that's crazy. That makes no sense to me. And if you're not playing Strikers, you just can't really compete. There's no weapon-specific leaderboards, and there should be, because I shouldn't have to play one weapon to be competitive. That's not how it goes. And I know people can get on the board using different weapons, but that's only because not many people care about Trials. If enough people played Trials, they would all use Strikers, and there would be nothing else on the board, because you can't compete with Strikers as anything else. There was 1 week where Hammer beat Strikers, but that was using an exploit. An exploit that more people went on to abuse until it was fixed, thank the Lord. But you can't really trust times. You can't trust a lot of times in the game right now, because there are certain times that just don't make sense. There are some recent axe times that were also using a certain bug that I believe the person was exploiting, because they just kept making their time go faster and faster and faster. It's just how it goes. Certain weapons cannot compete right now, and that's just the hard truth. But I'm not sure like how to fix that issue of like knowing if a run is legit or not. Maybe having replays. I don't know. Like having replays for top 100. I'm not sure how that goes. But in any case, I want to go ahead and go over what Mirnon said, because I thought it was pretty good from what I read of it, just a little bit. I'm blocking it, bro. I gotta scroll out. Alright. That's good enough. So, hot take incoming. Trials need 3 major things or changes to happen beyond just balance. And the balance probably goes into just like making the different weapons more viable in certain ways. Because, like I said, I want to go over the weapons and cover like I need to make weapon guides and just also talk about the viability and stuff. But I'm being lazy. Anywho, normal trials need to rotate daily and simply reward completion. They also need to chill on the modifiers and just be extremely hard versions of the behemoths like Heroic ++. Honestly, yeah. Like, I'd like that for just the Dauntless trials as well. Like, I want to be fighting the behemoth, not the modifiers. That's what I want. Dauntless trials need to be off-season for 2 weeks out of a month. The on-season for 2 weeks out of the month. This gives devs a month between each trial to develop the next one more thoroughly. It also makes each competitive period a more focused period of time, during which a competition can happen. You can even treat the first week as practice or a tuning period where any bugs can be addressed. Only open leaderboards during the second week. This makes competition feel like an event instead of a rolling ball of whatever week after week. Also true. Rewards and recognition need to be better. Yeah. Weapon specific leaderboards. I hate that word. More and better items in the shop, and some way to display the Dauntless Trials previous winners prominently, such as snapshotting their models during their winning attempt and displaying it as a statue with a name and time plaque. I wouldn't mind that. Although I'm to the point where I just don't really want to compete anymore because there's just no reward right now. But these are really good points. And this is, to a degree, what I was saying in a sense. Like, the whole, like, lay off the freaking modifiers. I'm not sure if Mirnon just meant for the normal trials, and honestly, in Dauntless trials too, I want to fight the behemoth. I do not want to be fighting in the modifiers. That's just how it goes. Like, I want the freaking modifiers to actually be tied to something. Be tied to an attack, and not just on a timer that you can cheese and wait on the platform for the timer to not go off as often. It's just so lame. Like, the way you can do trials right now, it just doesn't really spark any competitive like feelings in me at all. But that's pretty much all I want to say. That's Miron's take. That's my take. And that's all I got for this video, y'all. Hope you have a good one. Hope you have a good day. And I'll see you in the next one. Peace. I'm so lucky it didn't hit me.
It's not gonna work, huh? Oh, why does it not work? Big.
Don't solo that.
Trash cans.
Don't straight up solo that.
Okay, so this is a normal bomb for sure.
God dang it, team! Come on!